In this video, we'll be looking at how to return the customer ID of customers who have spent less than $110 with staff member who has an ID of 2. Now, what we're going to do is, first of all, also like we always do, is to pick the table that has the information that we require. And the table that has the information we require is going to be select asterisk from payment. That's our payments table. And then once we pick that, we have all the informations we need. So we have the payment ID, the customer ID, the staff ID, the sorry about that, the rental ID, the amount, the payment date. And then what we need is, we need customer ID from that table, we need amount spent, and then we need staff ID. So customer ID, staff ID, and then the amount spent. So those are the three columns that will be picking out from this payment table. So select customer ID, staff ID, amount from payment, and then once we run this, it gives us exactly what we need. Now the question asks that we should return the customer IDs of customers who have spent at least 110, because if we look at this, we can see that one customer has multiple rows, one customer ID has multiple rows, meaning they must have purchased something several times with different staffs. 341 has purchased from customer with staff 2 for $7.99, also purchased with staff 1 for $1.99, purchased with staff 1 for $7.99. so different purchases like that. So what we want to do is to group each customer and how much they've spent in total, but we're only looking for the purchases that were made with staff ID 2. So the first thing we want to do is, let's group the customer ID. So the way we're going to do that is select the customer ID. Now we're going to sum the amount, because that's what we want to sum, that particular value for each of the customer IDs as the sum of orders from payment, and then we're going to group by customer ID. So by the time we run this, it's going to give us two columns, that's the customer ID and then the sum of amounts, and then it's going to group it by the customer ID. The staff ID column will not be seen in what we're about to run. So when we run this, we're going to see the customer ID, which has been grouped, and then the total amount that each customer has spent with the store. Now we want to calculate how much each of the customers have spent with staff ID number 2, and the way we're going to do that is inputting the where function. So what we're going to do now is select customer ID, sum amount as sum of orders from payment, where the staff ID is equals to 2. We are going to group by the customer ID, then we can order by sum of orders, or even if we don't use the sum of order by, the order by is just to arrange, which I already explained earlier. So you can either arrange in descending order or in ascending order. So by the time you run this query, you're going to get the grouped customer ID, their sum of orders, and now the sum of orders now shows how much each customer has purchased with the staff. The next thing we want to see, because the question asked return the customer IDs of customers who have spent at least 110 with staff member ID of 2, and then we've gotten the total amount. So what we need is to get, okay, which customers have spent at least 110. So that means we're looking at one thing, total of $110 and above. And then the way we're going to get that is now to impute the function to have a total of 110 and above. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to use having. Now the having is just like the where, but this time around having is used for grouped elements. Where can be used for individual elements, but having is used for a grouped element, such as the grouped customer ID that we already have in our query. So what we're going to have now for our query is going to be select customer ID, sum amount as sum of orders from payment, where the staff ID is equals to 2, group by customer ID, and then having sum amount greater than or equals to 110. So by the time we do run this, it's now going to give us all the customer IDs that have spent over $110 with staff ID number 2. Then when we run this, it's going to give us from 599 column or rows rather to just 2 rows, showing only 2 customers have spent over $110 with staff with the staff of staff ID number 2. And that's how we get that answer. I do hope you learned something new today. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.